13th on CBC Gem.
You know the feeling of finding a really good podcast? Or the feeling of someone always being there, like your favorite radio show? Stream CBC Podcasts, CBC Music, and CBC Radio anytime, anywhere.
This is CBC News. At 12 o'clock, we're at minus 22 degrees with sunny skies over downtown Winnipeg. Good afternoon. I'm Matt Humphrey. The City of Winnipeg's financial outlook shows a smaller deficit than forecasted last quarter, but lower than expected tax revenue could leave the city with a bigger shortfall to cover this year's budget. The CBC's Cameron McLean explains.
The latest budget update shows the city's deficit in 2024 is expected to be $20.5 million. That's nearly $3 million less than the last update. But the city now has less money in its reserve fund to help cover the shortfall. The city had planned to use more than $14 million from its rainy day fund to cover a portion of the deficit, but that number has now been reduced to $9.7 million. That's due to less tax money coming in from new building construction and renovations than the city had expected. The city had budgeted $7 million in provincial funding to cover the remaining deficit this year, but it will now need to find approximately $3.8 million more in order to balance the books. Cameron McLean, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Brandon police think someone may be setting fires at the Eastview landfill. Around 6:45 yesterday morning, there was a large fire in the dumping areas. Brandon Fire and Emergency Services put it out, but on January 10th and January 11th, there were two other reports of fires at the landfill. Police say the suspect is described as a man who regularly goes to the landfill in the middle of the night. They say he wears a headlamp while riding a bike and pulling a trailer. Anyone with information is asked to contact Brandon Police. Officials in Southern California say they've made some progress battling the wildfires, but the threat remains critical. Wind conditions are expected to worsen tonight. The most dangerous day will be tomorrow, we're told. Thousands of homes have already been destroyed. At least 24 people have died in the fires. And LA County Sheriff Robert Luna says more victims continue to be found.
The Altadena area, we are in the third day of grid searching. It is a very grim task. And we, unfortunately, every day we're doing this, we're running across the remains of individual community members.
Some good news. The firefighting plane from Quebec, damaged by a drone last week, has been repaired. It's expected to be flying again tomorrow, and the number of people under evacuation orders has dropped somewhat to 92,000. Canada is sending 55 California firefighters to California to reinforce and to supplement efforts. 42 of them come from Alberta. That province says it's preparing water bombers and pilots as well in anticipation of future requests. BC is sending 23 people, and Quebec is contributing 2 more Super Scooper aircraft. That's in addition to the 2 water bombers already there working in California. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith fully expects President-elect Trump to make good on his tariffs and his threats when he returns to the White House later this month. And she's concerned the U.S. trade action will come as Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is just months away from leaving office.
I'm very concerned about a leadership vacuum. That's why I've been calling for an immediate election, because we need somebody at the table who is able to engage with the administration saying, you got a 4-year mandate? I got a 4-year mandate. Let's deal. And we don't have that right now.
Trump is threatening to impose an across-the-board 25% tariff on all Canadian exports to the United States. Smith met with Trump yesterday at his Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida. The meeting was arranged by Canadian businessman and TV personality Kevin O'Leary. And the British government is rolling out a multi-billion-dollar initiative to significantly increase the use of AI in the public sector. Crystal Guman-Singh has the details from London.
This technology offers huge potential in dealing with productivity problems.
Senior cabinet member Pat McFadden selling the practical benefits of artificial intelligence. The Labour government is starting to implement recommendations from an AI advisory review launched last summer.
Later on this morning, I'm going to see AI in action in the classroom, where it's being used by about 30,000 teachers in England, saving them about 3.5 hours a week.
From administrative work in the education sector to viewing images of road conditions, the Labour government is banking on AI to save money. Government borrowing costs have hit their highest level in 16 years, and this month the pound fell to a 14-month low against the dollar. The government says its AI Opportunities Action Plan could create more than 13,000 jobs. Crystal Gamansing, CBC News, London.
And the cost of mailing a letter here in Canada just went up, and it's a big increase in cost. As of today, a single stamp will now cost you $1.44. That's a 29-cent jump. Canada Post says with more than $3 billion in losses since 2018, it needs to generate more revenue. And that is your CBC News from Winnipeg. For news anytime, you can head to our website, cbc.ca/Manitoba, or you can use the CBC News app. Taking a quick look at the forecast for the afternoon ahead in Winnipeg, we're seeing mainly sunny conditions today with a high around minus 19 degrees, and we're seeing some light wind at times. So cover exposed skin. Brandon, a high of minus 21 with mainly sunny skies. Dauphin, a few clouds, a high around minus 21 as well. In Flin Flon, a high around minus 23 degrees and sunny. Thompson, you're seeing periods of snow and a high around minus 20. And on the bay in Churchill, a high of minus 20 with snow off and on. Right now, you're listening to CBC Radio 1.
Good afternoon and welcome to Radio Noon. I'm Lori Hoog-Stratton in the host chair on this cold, but it's a dry cold kind of a day. It is sunny out there and we're hoping to get to minus 19, but we're not there yet. Coming up on the show today, the city of Brandon, this is our call-in, is proposing a double-digit property tax hike for the coming year, and we'll speak with the mayor about why, and we'll ask you to call and share your thoughts on the proposed hikes in Brandon, 204-780-0893. Later in the show, a filmmaker will give some insight into his documentary about the Mennonites in Manitoba, but first up, the under-18 Canadian women's team defeated the United States with the help of a pair of twins from LaSalle. The under-18 Canadian women's team shut out the U.S. to win the World Juniors Hockey Tournament yesterday, and a pair of twins from LaSalle, Manitoba were on the team. Kate and Sarah Manis are the first sisters to ever play together in this championship. CBC's Sam Sampson spoke with Michelle Moore-Davison, the sisters' coach, after the win.
I'm just thrilled. Like both of the girls are such hard workers. They deserve this. Like, I love seeing when athletes are putting in the work behind the scenes. Like I'm fortunate enough to see that work. Like, you know, the days when it's not easy and they still show up and we push through and we fine tune what they need. And then they get these invites to go to the camps and then to the tournament and then to see this. It's just like, that's the part, the medal is the part that everybody sees, but I get to see the part, the grueling, the behind the scenes. So you're just so thrilled for them because it's like that achievement is so well deserved.
And I was watching the game. It was a shutout. So, you know that all of those women on the ice were just pushing as hard as they could. In terms of their technical abilities and even just like in the way that they respond to coaching styles, how would you differentiate between I think it's Sarah and Kate, right?
So with Kate, we've been really working on her quickness, and that has, like, this season, she's just skyrocketed with that. Just like her first 3 steps, that kind of stuff. She's really done really, really, really well. She has a smaller frame than Sarah. So Sarah is stronger, I find, and just maybe more powerful. With Sarah, we've been working on her crossovers and her exits out of turns, her change of direction, getting her feet in underneath her in order to accelerate and get that separation speed out of her turns. So those were kind of the 2 priorities with the girls. We work on it all together, so they both work on both areas, but those were the 2 main things that we've been focusing on that I've been focusing on with each of them. Personality wise, they're there to work. They're there to work. We have fun, like, we joke around and whatnot, but they're very serious, and they're there to work.
And I love what you said, right? You've been there through the practicing and just that skill building. And now, like, they're on the world stage. They just won. What was the last thing you said to either of them? Do you remember?
Have fun. That's the most important thing. Like, for me, we work on the technical details of skating. I don't want them thinking about their skating when they're playing. So for my job, it's to really harness, like, work on the nervous system and the mechanics and the muscle memory. And then they need to just go. They need to go. They need to play. They need to just be free on the ice and, go have fun and enjoy these moments, because they go by quick, and next thing you know, they're going to be back here working. And so, you got to have the work ethic beforehand, and then go in and just press play. Yeah.
It seems like women's hockey is just climbing a ladder. Like, there's no top for women's hockey in Canada.
Yeah.
How do you see the future of women's hockey right now in our country?
My gosh, it's so exciting. It's so exciting to see. I see the PW, the Toronto team, quite a bit in Toronto. They're working hard. They're practicing. Just having the experience now, owning my own training center, the amount of young females that are registered in our programs is phenomenal. It's going to explode. Like, it already has a bit, but now it's just going to go even further. I think the PWHL, the movement of getting them that league, is so overdue. And it's, now these young girls have something to push towards, but it's going to get more competitive. Like, there's like, when you look at the men's side of things, the statistics of making it all the way are very slim. And now, like, more and more girls are going to want to play. So they're going to have to put in that work. So when I have, like, the skate I do with the Manus girls, I have them twice a week. And the one skate that they do is a junior girls group. It's a general junior girls group that I do with multiple girls on the ice. And the talent pool is amazing. Like, it's super exciting to see, like, in the next few years, what's going to come up through the grassroots programs and all that.
So they practice together with you.
They're awesome together. Yeah.
That was Michelle Moore Davison, the coach of the Manitoba sisters Kate and Sarah Manus, speaking with the CBC's Sam Sampson. The Canadian women blanked the U.S. 3-0 yesterday at the Under-18 Women's World Championships in Finland yesterday. This is Canada's 8th gold medal in the global tournament.
Manitoba's the kind of place that draws you in. Every day it's growing, it's changing. Just when you think you've got it figured out, though, there's something new to understand. I'm Marcy Marcusa, host of the CBC Daily Podcast. This is Manitoba. I've covered the news from the rail line in Churchill to the border in Emerson, and it's talking about the local stories that help us understand this place. That's what This is Manitoba is all about. Find it on CBC Listen or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
You're listening to Radio Noon. I'm Lori Hoogstraten. You're at 89.3 FM, 990 AM. Coming up in our call-in today, we are calling all Brandonites. How do you feel about the proposed tax hike this year of almost 12%? If you want to weigh in, we'll have the Brandon Mayor on the line, so give us a call after 12:30 at 204-780-0893, or you can text 204-588-7355. Yeah, I think it's 11 and plus is the tax hike there, and it's been a while coming. And in just a minute, we'll hear about a documentary marking the 150-year-old story of Mennonites landing in Manitoba. We'll chat with the film's director and find out why the film has connected so well with audiences. Take a look at Riley Lachuk's forecast. 2 cold days ahead, he says. Then we warm up to above freezing on Wednesday. Next best chance for snow, he says, in the south comes Thursday into Friday. He's watching a developing Alberta clipper. Wouldn't you just know it? Highs of minus 19 in the Winnipeg region today. Tuesday minus 18. Up to 1 degree on Wednesday. And some temperatures right now. In Brandon, minus 27. Churchill, minus 20. Dauphin, also minus 27. The Pond is minus 28. Gimli, minus 24. In Thompson, it's minus 20. And in Winnipeg, it's nippy. It's still minus 23 degrees. Mennonites arrived in Manitoba in 1874, and a new documentary tries to capture what that journey was like.
When we tell stories, when we hear stories, they root us to a certain place. They root us to a certain group of people. They root us to where we've come from. But the stories that our ancestors tell root us to a specific past, specific events. They root us to a people, and they root us to ourselves.
That's a clip from the documentary Where the Cottonwoods Grow. The film commemorates the history of Mennonites in this province 150 years. It's been since that journey began, and it's been seeing wide success in its screenings across southern Manitoba. Dale Hildebrand is an award-winning filmmaker who grew up in Halmstad, Manitoba. He's the producer, co-writer, and director of Where the Cottonwoods Grow. Good afternoon, Dale.
Good afternoon. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, and you?
Very good.
Good.
It sounds like your weather's a little colder. I'm in Mexico currently, so it's a little warmer here.
Oh, yeah, it's a tiny bit colder here. Yeah, minus 23, but as we say up here, it's a dry cold.
Yeah.
So technically, you're a Mennonite filmmaker, but this is your first project about Mennonites. What drew you to tell this story?
Well, I was doing a feature film in Sicily, focusing on, it was a theatrical picture, comedy, and my wife's Italian, so we started venturing into that road when I was telling this story, and she always said, I got to do something on the Mennonites, and my sister came forward with something, the Plett Foundation came forward with something, the Mennonite Archives came with the whole idea of, our 150th anniversary is taking place this year. So we decided to sort of see what could come of this, and we didn't know if we were doing some short films or a long form documentary, and it just sort of evolved and it took on a life of its own. And we've had so many champions from Manitoba that have come on board and put their heart and soul into this picture, and it's been an amazing experience.
So, what happens in the film? What story does it tell? What goes on?
We start the film in 50 years later, in 1924. The migration takes place in 1874. And in 1924, a woman is walking through the snowy, barren land of frozen Manitoba, and she ends up in a house barn, a historical house barn. And a gathering of women have come together for a day of quilting. So as they are quilting, she is telling stories from journals, diaries, books, historical archive material. And so throughout the film, they are making a quilt, and each patch of the quilt is symbolic of another chapter of the film. And so by the end of the film, we've made a quilt and we've told our story.
Oh, yeah, that's a really clever device, and very visual, of course, and the actual quilting and the grouping of the Mennonite women also in the house barn, which is also a historical artifact of the Mennonites in Manitoba. So how did you research this?
Well, we researched all over. We had, the help of the, Conrad Stace and Aileen at the Plett Foundation, and also my sister came on board for the research. So we researched all over Manitoba at the archives, but we also researched in Ontario, across Canada, across the United States, and into Europe and Russia. We even have, the Library of Congress, many different places in the States. And we even we built 3 different worlds in our film, because a lot of the archival material is non-existent, because Mennonites didn't have photos from that era, or certainly not any film. So what we did is, from a place in England, a place where they did shipbuilding, we found the original blueprints of the first ship that took the first boatload of Mennonites across in 1874.
Wow.
And in computer graphics, we recreated that ship based on those blueprints. And our journey across the Atlantic is based on that actual ship. And they're surrounded by icebergs at one point, like the Titanic type of scenario. We also built the grasslands of the Ukraine, the Midwest of the United States, and also in Manitoba. And we built a shot aerial footage of the Red River, and then we built a steamship in computer-generated imagery, and we had it floating in the billowing smoke going down the Red River, and it looks phenomenal.
Wow, it sounds like
we
it.
We researched everywhere. We left no stone unturned.
Yeah. And you obviously, as I was saying, you've been having a lot of success with this film, especially in southern Manitoba. So why do you think people are connecting with this so much? Is it because of the creative ways you're telling this story, or is it because they haven't heard the story put together in this way? Why is it making such a splash?
Sure, I want to say it's all me and my creative. I think it's a story that needed to be told. We have a lot of wonderful historical books, and we have some really wonderful Mennonite films that are coming out and have come out in the past. This is told in a different way, and we try to make it very theatrical, very visual. We try to embrace the emotional impact of this story. You got to think, this journey, they traveled 20,000 kilometers, and they came from a village, or many different villages in Imperial Russia, which is like, in essence, current day Ukraine. And many of them had never even seen a steamship or a train before in their lives. And suddenly they're traveling 20,000 kilometers. And they are, you got to think they're kind of sealed off. So perhaps they're more vulnerable when they get to different ports and many different diseases. And, it is an era where there was a, higher death rate, but there was a lot of loss during this journey. There was a lot of children that were lost as well. And I think a lot of those stories resonate. And we tried to take stories from journals and diaries and stuff like that really told the real story of their journey. I mean, we can, debate the historical relevance of the accuracy of some of the journals, but this is the real people that wrote these stories. And I tried to embrace them. I tried to tell those stories. And I think there's a sense of heart and there's a sense of soul in these stories that we're telling. And also, a lot of these journals and a lot of these diaries were written by young men and and elderly men. So there were few journals written by women. We did find a few, and we did incorporate them. But that's why we also wanted to have the whole house barn, women quilting, and the retelling of the stories as if they are the carriers. They are carrying forward the stories of the past.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you seem to have a fairly emotional response yourself to this film. I know you've put so much into it, but how have you been feeling with the response that you've been getting from the people watching the film?
Yeah, this response has been phenomenal, overwhelming, and I'm really happy with that. But most importantly, I'm happy because it's finding a platform and people are watching it, and the story is being told. And I tried to tell a story that isn't just directed to the Mennonites, it's directed to a global audience. Anyone can understand the Mennonite story when they watch this film. But we also deal with many different aspects of that. You got to think, this is the 1870s. Every cowboy movie you've ever seen took place over, historically, a 10-year span of history. That's when just before the trains came in and all the cowboys existed because they were herding cows to specific terminals and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So that's the same era that we're dealing with. And we're also dealing with, that the Americans built railroads railroad companies built railroads, but the way they were being paid is by being able to sell land. So by selling land, they need to bring in immigrants. And this is part of the story of bringing in immigrants. So we have the whole idea of colonization. And I've never really explored the idea of colonization. I've really never fully understood colonization until I went into this documentary. And I think we give it a fresh perspective because we include the great-great-great-grandnephew of Louis Riel, the great-great-great I think son-in-law or something of Chief Yellow Quill. Mm-hmm. And he's the original signatory of Treaty 1. So they tell another aspect of colonization that isn't the old sort of idea that, the Mennonites came to barren land. Well, they came to land that had the indigenous culture, the Métis culture, and there's a whole idea of this colonization and nation building, and where do the Mennonites fit into this? And I think the story, to me, is fascinating, and I think it has resonated for people that we didn't gloss over it. We hit the Achilles heel of this, but we also tried to show respect to all parties.
Well, it sounds like it has very broad appeal and is garnering all kinds of accolades. So thank you very much for being on Radio Noon and telling us about it.
Thank you kindly. I really appreciate it. Thanks. And hopefully people come to this screening this Sunday.
This Sunday. Okay. Thanks a lot.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Dale Hildebrand is the producer, co-writer, and director of Where the Cottonwoods Grow. The next screening of the film is this Sunday, January 19th in Gretna. The screening is at 2:30 p.m. It'll be at Buehler Hall on Clawson Avenue, and tickets are $20 and can be purchased at the door.
The cold of winter melted by an array of floral artistry to warm your soul. Fleur de Ville Artiste comes to the Leaf at Assiniboine Park January 16th to 26th. Be dazzled by figurines decorated in flowery fashions, designed by Manitoba's vibrant art scene and blossoming floral talent. Fleur de Ville Artiste, proudly sponsored by CBC. Visit cbc.ca/Manitoba/community for more.
You're listening to Radio Noon. Reasons is a new EP from singer-songwriter Brett Schultz, and this is the title track, Reasons.
Saturday was pretty dull, I know. Not much to say about it, and I don't need a reason anyway. I don't need to say anything at all. Sometimes I think you're in my life, and other times I cannot tell the difference. You would not give a signal anyway. I gave you no reason to say. Sometimes I can't even reason with myself. I stand and stutter, wondering what will come of it. Maybe someday I will try again to listen to reason again. Yesterday was a sunny afternoon. The birds are gone as summer's blown away. I do not even care that it's gone. I've always preferred it this way. Always. Sometimes I can't even reason with myself. I stand and stutter, wondering what will come of it. Maybe someday I will try again to listen to reason again.
From a new EP from singer-songwriter Brett Schultz, that was the title track, reasons. You're listening to Radio Noon, and coming up on our call-in today, we are calling all Brandonites. How do you feel about a proposed tax hike this year of almost 12%? If you want to weigh in, we'll have the Brandon Mayor, Jeff Fawcett, with us on the line, so give us a call after the 12:30 news, 204-780-0893. Or you can text 204-588-7355 and tell us how you feel about the tax hikes. Maybe you're really happy. Maybe you're less than happy. Give us a call. You're listening to Radio Noon. The news is next.
This is CBC News. At 12:30, we're at minus 22 degrees with mainly sunny skies over downtown Winnipeg. Good afternoon. I'm Matt Humphrey. The latest City of Winnipeg budget shows an updated deficit of $20.5 million for last year. That's nearly $3 million less than the past update. But at the same time, the city now has less money in its reserve to help cover the shortfall. The city had planned to use more than $14 million from its rainy day fund to cover a portion of the deficit, but that number has now been reduced to $9.7 million. That's due to less tax money coming in from new building construction and renovations than the city had expected. All this means the city now needs roughly $3.8 million more to balance the books. Israel says it's waiting to hear from Hamas on a possible ceasefire deal in Gaza. Qatar's government says a draft agreement has been sent to Israel and Hamas after a breakthrough in talks. Israel's foreign minister Gideon Sa'ar says a deal would include freedom for some hostages held by Hamas.
We see some progress in the negotiations. Israel wants a hostage deal. Israel is working with our American friends in order to achieve a hostage deal. And soon we will know whether the other side wants the same thing.
Some hardliners in Israel's government, meanwhile, are opposed to any deal with Hamas. But the pressure is on both sides, with President-elect Donald Trump's inauguration just days away. And the day after meeting with Trump in Florida, Alberta Premier Danielle Smith says she's convinced the president-elect will carry through with his tariff threats. But she says she's impressed upon Trump that it's in the best interest of the United States to exempt Alberta oil and gas. Richard Madden explains.
Premier Smith said she made the case directly to incoming President Donald Trump on the importance of Alberta energy to flow freely into the U.S. She says she warned him tariffs would damage both economies and drive up oil prices for American consumers. She's hoping Trump would consider exempting Canadian energy from his tariff threat, a so-called carve-out, but she believes Trump will follow through.
I haven't seen anything that suggests that he's changing course. So our job is going to be to work overtime to make sure that we can make the case for carve-outs if that potential does happen. And I think an obvious way of making the argument is to be talking about this important energy relationship. So I wanted to begin that conversation.
Smith also added she didn't pay to get her unprecedented access to Trump. She said she was an invited guest by celebrity entrepreneur Kevin O'Leary. Richard Madden, CBC News, Washington.
And that's your CBC News from Winnipeg.
Thank you very much, Matt.
Back soon.
That's Matt Humphrey at the CBC News Desk. And now I welcome weather specialist Riley Lachuk to the studio. Hi, Riley.
If you're looking for a phrase to sum up this coming weekend weather, Brittany Greenslade, who I host the 6 o'clock show with,
yes, I've heard of her.
has already coined it Riley's roller coaster. So get ready for some up and down.
Okay, Riley's roller coaster.
We're going for a bit of a ride this week across the province. We're starting out a bit cool as we start the week here, Lori. Minus 23 in Winnipeg right now. Gimli minus 22. Minus 25s, minus 26 is back to the west. Swan River at minus 28 right now. So yes, some cold weather across Manitoba. Another one of these to come before we start to turn the page a little bit here. Factoring in the wind chill, I mean, value's not that impressive, but still frostbite on exposed skin, 15 minutes or less across southern Manitoba, even into parts of the north. Keep that in mind. If you dress for the weather, great. That's the way to do it. But just be mindful.
To survive, yes.
Yeah. Just be mindful that, we are looking at some cool temperatures over the next couple of days here in Manitoba. Mostly sunny skies. High pressure has cleared us out very much so across the province. So we're looking at mostly sunny skies, maybe a few little clouds hanging around here and there. But by and large, mostly sunny today, mainly clear tonight, mostly sunny tomorrow. And then we start to see things changing. A warm front along an area of low pressure that's skirting along the territorial boundary sinks south. And this is really going to warm up our temperatures as we get into the day on Wednesday. So Wednesday starts cold. But once we get going through the morning hours, we'll really start to warm things up. Along with that, some gusty winds out of the west, gusting up to 50 through the afternoon. Wednesday, maybe we get a quick shot of snow early in the morning on Wednesday. And then we're looking at clouds featuring and temperatures close to or above the freezing mark as we get Wednesday into Thursday with a little bit of snow in the long-range forecast. So I think we've got a shot at minus 19 in Winnipeg this afternoon. Mostly sunny skies. Back to the west, minus 22s, minus 23s into Brandon and Dauphin. Minus 18 tomorrow. Plus 1 for Wednesday with a few flurries in the morning. Good chance maybe we'll see a little bit of snow. I'm keeping my eye on an Alberta Clipper. That's moving west to east as we get through Thursday and Friday. So maybe we get some snow out of that. Still a little bit of disagreement on the track. Minus 3 for Thursday, minus 5 for Friday, and then back to minus 19 for Saturday.
Wow, Riley's roller coaster.
Like we're really up and down here over the course of the next week or so.
You have to be a certain height to go on this ride?
I don't know. As long as you dress for it.
Okay.
As long as you dress for the weather, it'll all be fine.
All right. All aboard the roller coaster. Thanks a lot, Riley.
You're welcome.
That's CBC weather specialist Riley Lachuk, and you can hear him getting on the roller coaster again on Up to Speed this afternoon between 3 and 6, and you can see him on television on CBC News at 6. You're listening to Radio Noon. I'm Laurie Hoogstraten. You're at 89.3 FM, 990 AM. Well, the city of Brandon is considering a double-digit property tax hike this year, and as the city prepares its budget, it's proposing an 11.7% increase. That's after it raised property taxes by 9.4% last year. So, calling all Brandonites, how do you feel about the proposed tax hike? Is it needed to pay for much-needed city services, or do you think that money should have been found elsewhere? Give us a call at 204-780-0893, or you can text us 204-588-7355, and tell us what you think about property tax increases in general. Is it something whose time has come and things need to be fixed and just have to tighten your belts and have all those nice smooth streets and all that other stuff that property taxes pay for? Jeff Fawcett is the mayor of Brandon, and he joined us by Zoom. Good afternoon, Jeff.
Good afternoon, Laurie. How are you?
Very well, thanks. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing good. Cold.
Cold, of course, yes. We're on Riley's roller coaster with the wind. So this increase isn't a total surprise. The double-digit tax hike is something a city report warned about over a year ago that it might happen. And so why did you settle on 11.7%?
Well, that's what's been presented to us by administration. You know, so we will still discuss that and debate it some.
And do you think there'll be much debate around it? How's that going to go?
Yeah, there will be debate around it. I don't know how much movement will actually occur around it, but there's definitely thorough debate to be had. Yes.
And how many years will the city have to hike taxes at this rate to make its financial situation sustainable?
After this year, we probably need another 2 of what you'd consider quite a decent tax rate increase. Mm-hmm. And then we'll start getting into that more stabilized kind of around what Winnipeg was hoping for, sort of 3.5s to 5s.
Yeah. Well,
yep.
Sorry, tell me a bit about the financial situation in Brandon right now, because there weren't many tax increases for quite a long time, isn't that right? So there's been quite a gap.
Yeah, and and I'm one of the people that does take some ownership on that. This is my, I don't even know, 14th year on the council, but it goes way past that. Like it just, it isn't a recent phenomenon. We historically have always run a really, really tight ship, and we run very tight on our taxation. We're the closest to the ground. So we do really run it tight, but the year over year, and I think what we show with our 4-year budget now is the decisions we make at this year's budget, we'll show it at if we drop some things to try to get it lower, then it actually will show, okay, well, that means next year's going back up.
Right.
The year after that might be impacted too. So where are you going to do this work? Are you going to do it now, or are you going to keep pushing it out?
Yeah.
And I was one of them that was probably more budgeting for the day. And to this point now, I think as a few of our councillors mentioned last year at 9.4, over the last decade, if we'd have gone 3% even, or 2.5%, we would still be paying more taxes today than we would even with that 9.4% increase.
So what helped you, what changed your tune? As you say, you were on council for 12 years before you were mayor.
Yeah.
And now you're looking further down the road than you did before. Why?
Yeah, well, one of the reasons is, strangely enough, I was talking with Scott Gillingham, Mayor Gillingham, and he was saying, you really need to make sure you get a 4-year budget in place. You got to look at that kind of thing. That makes sense. We do have to. We have to let people plan. And with that, our administration went out and had a third party, independent, in this case it was MNP, do a look at, the sustainability of the city, looking at their taxation. And I thought, well, this is great, getting a third party to look at this. And of course, my hope was they would come back with, 4%, 5%. You got to do bumping. Well, they came back with, 13% a year for at least the next 4 years.
Yikes.
and then it started doing decline. Or the other option was, sort of that 8.5, but for much longer.
Yeah. So,
and it wasn't, this wasn't written in stone. So, we did look at it. We digested it. We dissected it as much as we could, and we do know a bit better where we're at, and we are trying to do our fix as quick as we can to get to stability.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to hear from people of Brandon. Give us a call, 204-780-0893, or you can text us at 204-588-7355. And we did have a call earlier. Let's hear what Craig has to say.
Hi, my name is Craig. I'm a Brandon citizen. I'm a property owner, and I find that the property tax hike is far too exorbitant for what it should be for Brandon citizens, particularly given where inflation is at and the high poverty rates that we have in Brandon. Excuse me. We have a far greater number of people accessing food banks, working families accessing food banks, and the food rescue for reduced costs on groceries. And I feel it's irresponsible to hit Brandonites with a close to a 12% property tax increase at this time. Also, in looking at all of the City of Brandon budget lines, I don't think that administration and department chairs have done a strenuous enough job looking at their own budgets and trying to find some efficiencies there. I'm also a little concerned that salaries are getting out of control, and we have city staff salaries that are far exceeding the rate of inflation. And that needs to be brought into account for our city to run more efficiently.
That was a caller, taxpayer in Brandon. Jeff, what's your response to Craig?
Oh, he's right on lots of those. Those are very legitimate concerns. Unfortunately, there's no good time to do large tax hikes. You never hear anybody saying, now would be the time. Conveniently, inflation has dropped a little bit, but we can't kind of always consider, like we went below zero during COVID, which in retrospect, we probably shouldn't have.
Yeah.
But we didn't know.
Right.
And things like we do have our staff go very thoroughly through our budgets. And we do run really lean because we historically don't tax very much. And so we're really lean. As a matter of fact, we're so lean that, and I was part of it, we put in a vacancy allowance so that we didn't tax people money for what we knew might be vacancies in staffing, to the point that now administration has it in there so large that we at times are not even hiring to get to our vacancy allowance.
Yeah.
So it's worked against us to that extent now. So we actually struggled to get people just to make sure our budget's in line.
Yeah. Well, we heard what Craig thinks about, and people of Brandon, give us a call, 204-780-0893. But what have you been hearing yourself, Mayor Fawcett? What response have you been getting from Brandonites to the tax hike?
Well, we've talked about it for more than a year. We talked about it a lot previously. So at the end of last year's budget, this was, we knew what we were going to be looking at this year. So it isn't a surprise to most people.
Mm-hmm.
We are still going to try to make it better, and next year it's going to be big again. But it is to put everybody in a better place, and then we do want to have it stabilized. And yes, it is going to be some poor tasting medicine for a couple of years, and when it comes to our situations like homelessness, our situations like using the food banks more, like that is different issues we need to deal with. And we're working with the province on that. We're working with federal government on that. And we need to all participate in those kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
The municipal tax doesn't fix that itself.
And you say you've been talking about this for a year, but what kind of unanimity is there with council in terms of bringing this forward?
Well, council understands, and and they've shown grace in that. We do have discussions as to the scale, which is no question about it. And that is that look saying, the temptation to just do better for right now today, and push it on to councils going forward.
Yeah,
is there, and that's always going to be there. And I think though more and more, it's like we will deal with this.
Yeah.
And councils coming forward are going to have a better time because we've dealt with it.
And do you think anybody's going to say, well, I just can't do it? Between 9% last year and 11.7% this year, that's, their taxes going up by 20%. Are there people going to be like selling their homes and so on to make this happen, or?
It still won't be as high as the taxes in Winnipeg have gone up in the same period of time. Like over the last 10 years, 12 years.
Yeah.
Because we were so low.
Yeah. And Craig kind of touched on this a bit too. What about cutting back on layers of bureaucracy to save some money? Was that looked at?
Yeah. I remember when I first got on the council, I said, I got to get rid of some of this red tape, and we got to find the fat in the system. And then after a while, I realized I'm probably not the first councilor that's ever said that. It does get looked at. As a matter of fact, if anything, there's some places we're probably too thin, and it is actually affecting service.
Mm-hmm. Well, just as a final question, it's about the final decision. When will that be made about this tax hike? You said it will be debated.
Yeah, 24th, 25th is our big discussions on it. We have a public session on it this week on Wednesday. Staff is Wednesday evening has a public session. No, that's not right. We have a downtown public session on another thing, Thursday night. Thursday night. Thursday night at City Hall, and at 5:00, I believe it is. And but the 24th and 25th, next Friday, Saturday, is the discussion that we'll be having. And as council, it is a big deal. And we know there could be political capital that's obviously spent, and it may cost us, but you know what? We will be able to hopefully look back and reflect and say, we put Brandon in a better position. And yeah, those were some rough years. Even though permits went up last year, we were over 100 new residential units than the previous year with the tax increase. And we hope to have even more because we're doing all the infrastructure to actually increase that. Mm-hmm. And the stability that the industry knows that Brandon is putting itself in a place that is going to be stable going forward. It's appealing to industry, and we're investing in infrastructure as well.
Well, thank you very much for outlining what your goals are and discussing what went into this decision. Thanks so much.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye-bye. That's Jeff Fawcett. He's the mayor of Brandon, and Brandon City Council will be finalizing this decision quite soon, as we've heard, after appropriate discussion.
CBC Music Live. Head into the big venues, intimate concert halls, and small stages. Celebrate live music the way it was meant to be. Share in an unmistakable energy of being shoulder to shoulder with music fans and face to face with some of Canada's best musicians.
It's such an honor and a pleasure to play here.
CBC Music Live, brand new season. And catch past episodes right now on CBC Gem.
You're listening to Radio Noon. It's just coming up to 10 minutes before 1 o'clock. Well, soul singer Sam Moore died this past Friday at the age of 89. He was one half of the legendary duo Sam and Dave. First forming in 1961, they had a string of hits like Soul Man, You Don't Know Like I Know, and I Thank You. Moore was a member of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the Grammy Hall of Fame, and the Vocal Group Hall of Fame. His partner, Dave Prater, died in 1988, but Moore would continue to perform and create for decades. Here they are with one of their big hits. This is Sam and Dave and Hold On, I'm Coming. Sam and Dave is Hold On, I'm Coming. Sam Moore died January 10th at the age of 89. She's coming up to 8 minutes before 1 o'clock on CBC Radio Noon. Nain is a remote community in northern Newfoundland and Labrador, and CBC's Heidi Atter visited the students at Jens Haven Memorial School recently, and the students got to be journalists for the day and interview each other, as well as their teacher, Matthew Mercer. The grade 7s and 8s created their own questions. Here's how it went.
So, Kenny, where'd you go hunting?
I don't know.
How much seals you get?
2 or 3.
How much shots did it take?
1 or 2.
Did it taste good?
Yeah.
Who taught you how to hunt seals?
My dad.
Who's your dad?
My dad.
No, who is your dad?
Hello. Nikki.
Nikki who?
Itulak.
How old are you?
12.
What grade you in?
7.
What gun did you use to hunt the seals?
22.
How do you prepare your seals for lunch? Do you make a soup out of it? Do you roast it?
Soup.
Thank you for this time. Okay, bye.
My name is Kenny. What's your name?
My name's Andy.
What's your favorite food?
My favorite food is caribou.
Why?
I just like caribou a lot. It just tastes so good compared to all other foods. It's just too good.
What's your favorite sport?
Volleyball.
Why?
Because it's the only game people actually play.
What your name?
Kayla.
The mic is cool. What's your favorite traditional food?
Probably fried seal.
Why?
I don't know, it just tastes good.
Did it get louder? My ears hurt.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hi.
Talk about it. Then if there's time, we're gonna pass around again.
What's your name?
Zoe.
How old are you?
12.
Where's you from?
Maine.
What's your favorite sport?
Volleyball.
Thanks.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.
What's your name?
My name's Matthew Mercer.
Hello, Mercer. I'm Andy.
Hi, Andy. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. So, what's your favorite food?
Peanut butter sandwich.
Why do you like peanut butter sandwiches?
Because it tastes good and it's easy to make.
Do you go hunting anytime?
No, I don't hunt, but I like to go fishing.
What's your job?
My job is a teacher in Nain.
Do you like your job?
Yes.
What's your favorite ice cream?
I actually don't like ice cream.
Well, what's your favorite dessert then?
My mom makes a dessert called chocolate trifle. It's really good. I'll explain it. It has pudding and yogurt and chocolate rolls. It's very good. No ice cream.
Do you like reading? And if you like reading, what's your favorite book?
That is a fantastic question, Andy. My favorite book is The Game by Ken Dryden.
When did you discover this book?
That's a great question. I discovered this book when I was your age, when I was in grade 7. But it took me a long time to read.
Were you behind in your work?
No, I was always ahead. I did my homework every night.
It's a good thing. What's your favorite sport?
My favorite sport is volleyball. Do you play volleyball, Andy?
Yeah. Bye, signing off.
My name's Roman.
My name is Adrian.
What do you hunt?
Seal.
Are you good at it?
Yeah.
How do you hunt a seal?
Sneak up on them. Sneak up on close on skidoo. What is your name?
Roman.
What do you hunt?
Partridges.
What kind of gun you use?
22 or BB gun.
What else do you hunt?
Okalix.
Me too.
Roman, do you drive a Honda?
Yeah.
How fast do you go?
60.
Thanks to be in my show.
You're welcome.
There you go. Good job, guys. It's grade 7 and 8 students in Nain, Newfoundland, and Labrador. And I've had many an interview like that with the one-word answers, and you're floundering away. But I liked how do you catch a seal? You sneak up on it. Good work. All right. Those kids are interviewing each other and their teacher at Jens Haven Memorial School, and thanks to the CBC's Heidi Atter for that. Now I'm joined in studio by Faith Fundal. They are the host of Up to Speed every day from 3 to 6. Hello.
Good. Yes, thanks. Just kidding.
Okay, bye.
So you at the top of your show, we heard about Canada shutting out the U.S. to win the Women's World U18 Championship. We're going to hear from a very proud LaSalle grandfather, the grandfather of Sarah and Kate Manis, who were part of that team. So we'll hear more from him and talk about a bunch of other serious things, including norovirus.
Yes.
Stay tuned for that.
All right. Sounds very interesting. It was nice to hear about the Manis girls and their coach saying when they get out there, I want them to have fun. I say, have fun, be free. Be free on the ice. It was lovely.
That's the best way to do it. And hockey is a very, very big family affair as well for the Manises.
Is that right?
So stay tuned. We'll hear more.
Sounds good. Thanks very much, Faith. That's Faith Fundal, and you can hear them this afternoon from 3 to 6 on Up to Speed. I'm Laurie Hoogstraten, and my thanks to Technical Director Dylan Longhurst, Director Sierra Sanders, Producer Wendy Parker, and YouTube live stream producer Kevin Nipatebo. It's been lovely talking to you this afternoon, and it's freezing cold out there, so dress for it. And Riley will tell you more from the Riley roller coaster, also on Up to Speed. I'll talk to you again soon. Have a pleasant day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.